In our everyday life, if we want to repeat a task, we do it again and again. But there is an advantage that we have with the programming languages, and that advantage is called as loops. That if you want to repeat a task again and again with a programming language, you can use the loops, and we will be discussing about it in our today's session. So hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to WS Cube Tech. My name is Ayushi Jain, and in this video, we will be discussing about different kinds of loops that are there in Python. We will be focusing on the concepts of loops, that how we can apply them, how we can use them in different situations. Before that, if you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn from our experts live, then you can call on the given number or you can fill the form that is provided in our description. Not just that, with our every batch, you will be getting 2 demo classes for free. So now let's get started with the loops. Now, what is loop? You might have heard the term before. Loop means something round, something something which is round and repeating. So here also in Python, loop means to repeat something. Loop means to repeat something in the exact same way. For example, let's say if you want to write something, and I'll give you a real life example. Let's first go for the real life example. Let's say you want to exercise, right? And a person tells you that you have to do some push-ups 10 times. Okay, so what you will be doing, you will be doing the exact same step, you will be repeating the exact same step, exact same method 10 times, right? Same thing is over here. Loop means to repeat something in the exact same way. Now, in Python, there are different kinds of loops. Why different kinds are required here? Because we don't know how many times we have to repeat it. We don't know how much gap we have to give in between while we are repeating it. We don't know how long we have to repeat it. We don't know if we have to repeat it one time or we have to repeat multiple kinds of things multiple times. So that's why we have different kinds of loops over here. So we have a for loop, we have a while loop, we have a while true loop, we have a nested loop. Nested loop is a similar term. Like nested is a similar term. We it is quite pretty much similar to if conditional statement, but those were conditional statements, and here it is loop. So yes, we will be discussing about the different kinds of loops in the upcoming session, starting with the for loop in our next session. For loop is a kind of a loop. So let's see what this for loop is. For loop is a loop that repeats something in a given range. That means in for loop we need to define a range. Now what is a range? Range is something that has a starting point, that from where we want to start this loop. It has the ending point, that where we have to end this loop, and then we have a step in between. For example, let's say there are stairs and you want to climb the stairs. Okay, so if your starting value would be 1. If let's say there are 20 stairs, then your ending value would be 21, because according to the loop syntax, whatever the ending point is, we will be adding 1 to it. So if the stairs are ending on 20, we will be writing 21 over there. And lastly, this step in between. Suppose if you're climbing the stairs by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, or if you're climbing the stairs like kids, like how kids do, like they skip the steps in between. Not just kids, we adults also do it sometimes. We skip the steps. So they going like 1, 3, 5, 7. So what is the gap in between? The gap is of 2 stairs, the gap is of 3 stairs. So that gap also we will be defining over here. So for loop basically has three things. It has a range in which we have a starting point, we have an ending point, and then we have a gap in between. If we don't need any gap in between, we don't have to define it. Now let's have a look on how we can write the for loop. So our topic is loop, and inside loop we are learning for loop today. So for writing for loop, the syntax is very simple. First of all, you write for. You create any variable over here. The variable name could be anything. I personally use I, that for I in range. Now don't confuse I with anything. I is nothing but just a variable over here. So for I in range, we can write anything. For a in range, for number in range, for any variable name you can insert over here. So I'm writing for I in range. Now we will be defining a range over here. Let's say I want to write all the numbers up to 10, right? So I will be defining a range over here that for I in range 1, comma, I am not going to write 10 over here. I will be writing 11 over here because as I said, the for loop follows the syntax where you have to add +1 to the ending number. So instead, if I want it to end on 10, I will be writing 11. I don't want any gap in between. I want to write all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. I'll put a colon over here, and inside this body of for loop, I will be printing this I. So let's run and see what happens. So it will print me all the numbers starting from 1 ending on 10. Because if I would have written over here 10 instead of 11 and would have run the program would have stopped on 9. It executes only up to 9 because +1 has not been added over here. So if I wanted to execute up to 10, I need to write 11 over here. Similarly, if you want your program to start from 0, we can just replace the starting value from 1 to 0. So your program will start from 0 and goes up to 10. Similarly, if you want to write all the even numbers up to 10, then what you can do, you can write 0, comma 11, that is your ending value, comma the gap in between. If you want to give a gap in between, the gap in the case of even numbers, the gap is of 2. So yes, let's see what happens. So it's starting from 0 up to 10, it's writing all the even numbers. Same goes for odd numbers. For the odd numbers, the gap is of 2. The ending point will also remain the 11, but the starting point will change from 0 to 1 because 0 does not comes in the category of odd numbers. The first odd number is 1. That's why we will be writing 1, 11, and 2. So now we get all the odd numbers up to number 10. So not just 2, according to your choice, you can add any kind of gap over here. So let's say if my starting value is 0, my ending value is 10. If I put a gap of 3 in between and run the program, it would write 0, 3, 6, and 9. So the gap between the numbers is of 0, 3, 6, and 9. This is how our for loop works. Inside the for loop, we have a starting value, we have an ending value, and we have a gap. If you don't need any gap, you just leave it empty, just write 0 to 11, and that's it. That would be your 0 to 10, all the numbers without any gap. So this is how for loop works basically. Now here only inside the for loop, I'll take a small example. Let's say I want to write a multiplication table of any number. So I'll take an example over here. I'm creating a variable called as n. Let's say I want to write a multiplication table of 7. Okay, I'll write my for loop that for I in range, the table starts from number 1 and goes to number 10. That's why I will be writing 11 over here. I'm not going to put any gap in between, and I'll just put a colon and print. Now here I is holding our numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. N is holding 7. So 7 times 1 would be 7. 7 times 2 would be 14. And so on it will be going on. So I'll just write a basic syntax of our table over here that when 7 multiplies by 1, it gives 7. 7 multiplies by 2, it gives us 14. Let's print this over here. For 7, we know we only need this n variable. I'll put a n. I'll put a comma for multiplication. Now here we are not actually multiplying it. We are just using this multiplication operator over here. So I'm just going to put this multiplication operator over here and put a comma. Again, 1 is not just 1. It is our loop. It is the variable of our loop which is holding all our numbers, that is 1 to 10. So I'm going to use 1. So instead of writing 1 over here, I will be writing I. Again, I'll put a comma. Now equal is again not assigned, not working as any operator over here. We are just showing it over there. So I'm just going to put it in a string. I'll put a comma. And lastly, now we will do our actual multiplication, that is n times I. Let's see what happens when we run this program. As you can see, it gives us the whole multiplication table of number 7. And if you want a multiplication table of any other number other than 7, all you can just do it, just replace this term 7 with any other number, let's say 9, and run this program. So now we get the multiplication table of 9. So yes, this is a very simple method. In just easy two-line steps, we are able to 2 to 3 line steps, we are able to create a multiplication table for any number we want. Even if you want to take a user input for it, you can write over here int input, enter a number here, and once I run this program, it takes a user input from me. So let's say I'm gonna write 12 over here. As soon as I have written 12 over here, it gives me the table of 12. In a very few steps, in a very few lines, we have created a very interesting program, right? So I hope now for loop is pretty much more clear to you. All you need to remember is that there is a range which has a starting value, which is an ending value, and to the ending value we add 1, and then there is a gap. If you don't need any gap, you just leave it like that. The default is set to 1. And if you need a gap, then yes, you can put a comma and give the gap that you want to provide between the numbers. See how we can use conditional statements with the for loop. Let's have a look. Before that, if you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn from our experts live, then you can call on the given number or you can fill the form that is provided in our description. Not just that, with our every batch, you will be getting 2 demo classes for free. First of all, what is for loop with conditional statements? The use of if-else statement increases the ability of the loop to complete the task effectively. For example, so what we can do, when we are using a loop, we can provide conditional statement to use it for a special conditions that are there inside the loop. Let's have a look how it can be done practically. So here I'm going to write for loop with conditional statements, right? For loop with conditional statements. Now first of all, how we write for loop, I'll be writing a for loop. Let's say I'll take a range up to 50. That for I in range 1, starting value would be 1, or we can start from the 0 also, comma, up to 50. So if I'm taking 50, I'll be writing 51, and I'm not taking any gap in between. But I want a certain condition to be satisfied. I want that if I, when divided by 5, let's say that I want all the multiples of 5. There are two methods. One, you can use the gap also. One, you can use a conditional statement as well over here. That if I divided by 5 is equal to 0, in that condition print I. So if I run the program, it writes all the numbers that comes in the table of 5. At the same time, if you want to add else also key okay. As a kid, have you played this game Bingo? I used to play it a lot with my friends. That whenever a multiple of any number comes, we used to say Bingo. So let's do this thing over here. That instead, whenever a multiple of 5 comes, I'll print Bingo. And whenever it's any other number other than 5, like other than a multiple of 5, in that condition, we will write that number. Like we used to say it in this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, and Bingo. So instead of saying again 5, we will be just saying bingo, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, bingo, right? So else print I. Now let's have a look how does this looks like. Okay, so it's writing 1, 2, 3, 4 on the multiple of 5, bingo. 6, 7, 8, 9 on the multiple of 5, bingo. 11, 12, 13, 14 on the multiple of 5, bingo. So here, along with the for loop, we can provide for a special conditions that whatever conditions we want to give, we can give over here and it will execute that. Also, let's say I'm writing a program to enter multiples of 3 and 5 up to number 50. So let's see how we can do that. So for I in range 0, 51, we can use 1 also over here. So I'll go with 1, 51. And if I when divided by 3 gives the remainder 0 and I when divided by 5 gives the remainder 0, in that condition we will print I. Now let's run and see what happens. I'll put the previous one inside the multiple line comments and let's run it. Okay, so it gives me 15, 30 and 45. So up to 50 there are only 3 numbers in which are the multiples of both 3 and 5, which is 15, 30 and 45. So here you can see we can use a for loop and provide with the special conditions that we want to use, and it makes our program more effective. Conditional statement has a vast application and we will be using it with various types of functions. I hope the for loop with conditional statements is now pretty much clear to you. Starting with the while loop. Now, what is while loop? Let's talk about that. While loop is a kind of a loop that executes till the given condition is true. Now, what does this thing mean? Okay, let's give you an example. Let's say I will tell you that eat food until you are hungry. So, what you will do, you will keep repeating the same method. You will keep eating the food in the same way until you are hungry. As soon as you're not feeling hungry anymore, you will stop eating food. That means same thing happens with the while loop as well, that whatever condition is given to the while loop, whatever condition is given to the while loop, till the time that condition is true, it will keep executing it, it will keep repeating it. But as soon as the condition is false, it will stop repeating it. In the for loop, you notice that the increment was done outside the loop. That means in the body, inside, it was not there inside the body of the loop. It was there when we are writing the loop itself. Here in while loop, it is a bit different, that increment is done inside the body of while loop. Let's have a look first at how to write a while loop. So we will be talking about while loop over here. We will see how to write a while loop. For that, we will first give any variable. Let's say n is equals to 0. Okay. So I'm providing a condition over here that while n is smaller than and equal to 10, in that condition print n. So very simple syntax over here, that while n is smaller than and equal to 10, in that condition, that means we'll put a colon over there and print n. We will be keep printing n. Now, as you remember, I told you that the increment over here is done inside the loop. So how I want my n to increase? I want my n to increase by plus 1. So n is equals to n plus 1. You can write n is equals to n plus 1, or you can also use n plus is equal to 1. The both the things are same, only the method of writing is different. N plus is equals to 1 is also n is equals to n plus 1. So I'm going to go ahead with n plus is equals to 1. Now let's run and see what happens. If I run this code, it starts from 0, that is our starting value 0, and it ends on 10, because the condition we have given here is that while n is smaller than and equal to 10, we have to repeat it as soon as this condition is false. That means when as soon as the number will become 11, so the next number would be 11. In that case, the condition will become false and it will stop executing, so it will only execute up to 10. And here increment is done inside the loop. So if you want to increase it by 2 every time, then starting value is 0 and you want to obtain all the even numbers up to 10, we can do this. So it gives us 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10, which are all the numbers up to 10. Similarly, if you want odd numbers, all you need to do is replace this 0 with 1. And if I run this program, we get all the odd numbers, that is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So these are some examples of while loop. Another very useful method of using while loop is, let's say I'm creating a variable called as k. K is equals to yes. Okay. Now if I give a condition that while k is equal to yes, in that condition ask for a user input that number 1 is equals to int input, enter a number here. Similarly, I'll write number 2 is equals to integer input. enter another number here. Let's say we want to add these numbers, so I'll print number 1 plus number 2. Okay, now what I want to do, let's say once I'm done with adding one numbers, I want to add more numbers. So what can I do? I can use the while loop to repeat it as many times as I want. So I'll ask for a choice that k is equals to input. Do you want to add more numbers? And as we can see, we have given a condition over here that k, if the value of k is yes, it will repeat it all over again. Now let's run and see what happens. So it gives me 1 to 9 numbers from our previous program, and here it asks me for a number. Enter a number here. Let's say I'll write 23. I write 45. It gives me 68. Do you want to repeat again? Yes. It again asks me enter a number here. So 45 plus 78 gives me the output 123. So as many times as I will write yes, even if I write yes again, it will keep repeating. It won't stop because we have provided it with the condition that if k is equals to yes, it will keep repeating. If it is anything other than yes, so let's say this time I'll write no. So here our loop stopped. So it was only executing till whatever the condition that we gave was true, and the condition was that k should be equal to yes. So these are two kinds of ways where we can use while loop. While loop, yes, again has a vast applications. While loop is a loop that executes till the condition is true. Whatever condition you have given, till the time the condition is true, it executes it, and as soon as the condition is false, it stops executing it. That was our while loop. Now this while true seems similar to our while loop, but there is a small difference over here. Here while true is an infinite loop. Infinite loop means this loop never stops. Now what does this mean by a loop that never stops? Let's have a look on that. So how to write a while loop is really very simple. All you need to do is you need to write while and capital T true. Remember guys, don't write small t true. You have to write capital T true, that while the condition is true, it will keep doing it. Let's say I'm just gonna write while condition is true, print n. Let's create a variable on the top that there is a variable n. So I'm gonna create a variable n whose value is 0, and this n, increment of this n will be by plus 1, so n plus is equals to 1. Let's have a look what happens when I run this program. As you can see at the bottom over here that this loop is not stopping. It keeps increasing, and it's not stopping, and it won't stop because it is a infinite loop. So there must be a method to stop this loop. Yes, there is a method to stop this loop. That is the break statement. We will be learning how to use a break statement in our upcoming sessions. So stay connected and I'll tell you how to use a break statement in our upcoming sessions. While is a loop that executes till the condition is true, while true is a loop which is an infinite loop which never stops. To stop it, we need to use a special statement, that is the break statement, which we will be learning in our next session. So here in today's session, we will be learning about nested loops. Nested loop, I think the term seems a bit familiar to you. In our module with conditional statement, we learn nested conditional statements, where there was a condition inside a condition. So when there was a condition inside a condition, that is called as nested conditional statement. Similarly, in the nested loops, when there is a loop inside a loop, that is called as nested loop. Let's take a small example on this. Okay, let's say a person is exercising and a person comes and tells them that you have to do a 10 push-ups. Okay, so 10 push-ups. So a person will count to 10. That means a loop will be used over there that from 1 to 10 he needs to do a push-up. So 1 to 10 is like one loop. But what if a person comes and tells that you have to do 3 sets of 10 push-ups? So how it will go? For like first set 10 times, again second set, again 10 times, again third set, again 10 times. So here two loops are working at the same time. One is counting 1 to 10 three times, one is counting the three times, that okay, 1 to 10 one time, 1 to 10 two time, 1 to 10 three time, and one is counting 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, again 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, again 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So two loops are working over here at the same time. That is our nested loop. That is our example of nested loop, that when there is a loop inside a loop, that is called as nested loop. Now let's have a look how nested loop looks like. For nested loop, you can use any kind of loop. A for loop can also be converted into nested loop, and a while loop can also be converted into nested loop. Let's first take example of our for loop. Okay, suppose I'm writing here for I in range 1, 6, that I'm taking a range up to 5 numbers. Starting value would be 1 and ending value would be 5. What I need to do is, as we are talking about nested loop, I'll create another loop inside it, that for, let's keep its name as j. So for j in range, this range will be starting from 1 and ending on, let's say, 10. So that's why I'll be writing 11 over here. I'll put a colon, print j, and for I, I'm not going to print anything. So print I will basically count how many times this j will come. So j is counting our 1 to 10 numbers, and how many times this j is coming, that I will be counting. So let's run it and have a look on it. So as you can see, okay, it's writing 1 to 10 5 times. So let's say someone is doing 5 sets of 10 push-ups. 1 to 10 1 time, 1 to 10 2 times, 1 to 10 3 times, 1 to 10 4, and 1 to 10 5 times. So this is how a nested loop is written down. And if you want to write it in a row, there is a method that after j you can put a comma, write end, that is the end, is equals to open quotations, close quotations, and leave it. Now if I run and show it to you, this is how it looks like. So end is equals to open quotations, close quotations will shift your whole loop in one line, whole j loop in one line. Okay. So basically you will notice over here that I here is counting our rows while j here is counting our columns. So we have rows and columns over here. With the help of nested loop, guys, we can also solve pattern problems. Let's have a look at one of the pattern problem we have. So all I want is, I want to create a right angle triangle with asterisk symbol. So let's see how it can be done. So I'll be creating first of all my rows, that for I in range, starting from 1, ending on, let's say, 10, that I need 10 rows. So I'll be writing 11 over here. I'll put a colon, and for j in range 1, comma. Now how I'm going to solve it? Because it is a right angle triangle, every time a new column will be added. And in first time there will be 1 star, second time there will be 2 stars, then 3, then 4, then it keeps going on, so on. Right? So every time one new row will be added. So what I'll do, I'll write I plus 1 for the ending one over here, that every time a new row will be added. And I'm going to print not j, but here, as I told you, I'm going to create a right angle pattern with the help of a star, that is this asterisk symbol. So I'm gonna use a asterisk symbol inside the double quotations, put a comma, write end is equals to open quotations, close quotations, give a space in between, and for print statement, I'm just leaving it like that because I is just counting how many times j will occur. It's not printing anything. We are not going to print the I. I is only used over here to count how many times the j will occur. So let's run the program and have a look what it creates. Okay, so it has created a nice pattern of asterisk symbol in a right angle triangle formation. There are so many patterns that we can create with the help of the nested loop. We can solve so many pattern problems with the help of the nested loop. We will be having a look on some of them in our problem solving section, and we will be solving problems related to them. Break and the continue statements which are used with the loops. I repeat, break and continue statements are only used with the loops. Without the loops, you cannot use the break and continue statement. So first of all, before we start understanding what is break and continue statement, let's have a small recap on what we have learned in our previous session. So in our previous session, we covered the nested loops and how we can solve pattern problems with the help of the nested loop. We tried solving one problem. We will be solving more problems in our problem solving section. So stay connected and make sure you watch the problem solving section. Before that, if you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn from our experts live, then you can call on the given number or you can fill the form that is provided in our description. Not just that, with our every batch, you will be getting 2 demo classes for free. And here, coming back to break and continue statement, let's first understand what is break and continue statement. So, continue statement is a special statement which is used when you want to skip a particular condition inside a loop. Okay, let's take an example for this. I'll give you an example and plus at the same time, I'll be executing it in a practical method as well. So, talking about the continuous statement. Yes, as I said, continuous statement is a statement which skips a particular condition. Let's take an example that you are on a road trip and you are controlling your playlist. You have a playlist of, let's say, 20 songs. So, first of all, let's write that much that we have a playlist. So, for I in range. So, let's say you have a range of 20 songs. That means you have a playlist of 20 songs. So, I'll be writing 1, comma 21 over here, and I like all the 21 songs, but let's say one of a friend who is with me or one of my family member who is with me, they don't like the song number 15. So I want to give a special condition that play all the songs but don't play song number 15. Okay. So what will happen whenever the song 15 comes, it should skip the song number 15 and directly move to 16. Let's see how it can be done with the help of a program. So here we have a special condition that if our I is equal to 15, in that condition we will write continue statement. The continue statement will skip this particular condition that when I is equal to 15, it will continue. Continue means it will skip the step and continue with the loop. It won't break the loop over there, that the loop will not stop working after 15. It will just skip that particular statement and continue with the next part of the loop, that is number 16. And we will print, and in the else condition we will print playing song number comma I. Let's run and have a look what happens. So you will see it's starting from 1 in front of all the song. It's written playing song number 10, song number 11, 12, 13, 14. But 15 is missing here. After 14, directly we have 16. So what our loop has done, what this continue statement has done to this loop, that it skipped a particular condition. What that condition is, when I is equal to 15. As soon as I is equal to 15, it skipped this step and continued with the next part of the loop. This is our continue statement. Let's take another example with the continue statement. For example, let's say I'm taking a string over here that A is equals to any string, let's say Python. Okay. Now for I in A. We are not taking a range over here because we have Python itself as a string. So we are not taking a range. We don't need numbers over here. We here have a string A. So for I in 8. So what I need to do is if I want to skip any of the alphabet over here, that I want to, let's say, skip alphabet H. So I'll give a condition over here that if I is equals to capital H over here, we will continue, else we will print I. Let's run it and have a look. So it's writing Python. It's not writing H over here. It completely skipped the H and moved to the next letter, that is O. So this is how our continue statement works. It skips a particular condition given by the user and continues with the next part of the loop. I hope the continue statement is now clear to you. Now we'll be moving towards our break statement. So let's understand first what is break statement. The break statement is used when you want to completely destroy a loop after reaching a certain condition. We provide it with a condition, and once it comes to that condition, it completely breaks the loop. That means the loop will not execute anymore at that particular condition. The loop will be destroyed. So let's have a look how to write a break statement. Okay, again, I'm considering the same example that we are on a road trip and we have a playlist of 20 songs. So for I in range 1 comma 21. Now I'm giving a condition that I like all the songs, but I don't like any song after song number 17. 17 itself, and after song number 17, I don't like any song, or any of my friend doesn't like any of the songs after song number 17. For that, what we will do, we'll give a condition over here that if I is equals to 17, in that condition, break the loop, else print, and I write over here playing song number I. So if I run this program, let's see what happens. So as you can see, it started from 1 and it goes all the way to the song number 16, but it's not writing song number 17, 18, 19 and 20. Why? Because we have given a special condition over here that if I is equal to 17, when it comes to the point when I is equal to 17, you have to break the loop. Break the loop means completely destroy the loop. You don't have to execute it anymore. Now here you can see that okay, why it is required that if you want to skip a particular whole condition, like destroy the whole loop at a certain condition, why it is here in the for loop. Let's have a look at its application in while loop. As I explained you in our while true loop, that to break the while true loop there is only one method. We use the break statement. So let's have a look how we can break a while true loop. So I'm gonna write over here break statement. So here I have written, guys, break statement. With the help of break statement, we will be breaking our while true, that is our infinite loop. Let's have a look on how it can be done. So here I'm writing while capital T true. So while true, what we are going to do, we are going to add two numbers and then we are going to break this loop. Okay. So here I will be asking for a user input for number one. Number one is equals to int input. Enter a number here. Another input I'm taking, number 2 is equals to integer input. Enter another number here, right? After this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add both the numbers. So I'm creating a variable called as sum is equals to number 1 plus number 2, and we are going to print this sum. So this is some basic program. Now what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to ask for a condition that if they want to repeat it or not. If a person wants to add more numbers, let's say you have added 4 plus 5, now you want to add more numbers. So I'm going to ask user for a condition that choice is equals to input. Do you want to add more numbers? Question mark, and give your answer in yes slash no. I'm telling the user that give your answer in yes or no. Okay. Now why I have said yes or no, because if the user says no, if a user says no, they don't want to repeat it, we need to break the loop, because it is what? It is a infinite loop. It will keep going on, and to break it there is only one method, that is we use our break statement. So let's see how we can use it. So after this I'm giving a choice. So in the choice we have written, do you want to add more numbers? And if the answer to this choice is equal to small n no, or if the answer of this choice is equal to capital N no, in that condition we will break the loop. So if a person says no, they don't want to add more numbers, we will break the loop, else it will keep going continuously. Now let's have a look. Let me run this code and see what happens. It asks me for a number, that is, let's say 23. It asks me for the another number, let's say 12. And if I press enter, it gives me the output 35. Now it asks me that, do you want to add more numbers? Yes, I want to add more number. I'm giving another input 35, 67. It gives me the output 102. Do you want to add more numbers? No, I don't want to add more numbers. So I'll write no over here. As soon as I click on enter, my loop stopped working. See, it was an infinite loop, but it stopped working because of the break statement. So break statement is the only method which you can use to break a loop. Now remember, guys, this break and continue, both the statements can only be used with a loop. You cannot use break and continue statement with only conditional statement. Yes, here we have used a conditional statement, but that is inside the loop. Okay. So only when there is an involvement of a loop, then only we can use the break and continue statement. Alone with the conditional statement, you cannot use break and continue statement. I hope both break and continue statements are clear to you. In this whole module, we covered loops and different types of loops plus the continue and the break statement. So in our today's session, we will be solving major problems that are related to loops, and I hope it will help you to clear all your doubts that you have had so far with the loops. So let's get started. Here we have 5 problems right in front of us. So I will be dividing problem solving into 2 parts. One we will do in this session, another part we'll do in the another session, because yes, loops is a huge topic and yes, needs to be discussed thoroughly. So let's get started with the question number 1. So our first question says, write a program to find the sum of all the even numbers up to 50. So yes, up to 50 it's saying it's giving us a range, that there is a range. So we surely know that okay, we have to use a for loop over here. So let's get started. We need a range of 1 to 50. So first of all, let's write that for I in range, starting value would be a 1, or you can use 0 also. 0, comma, 51. Okay, because we have to take numbers up to 50, so we will be using 51 over here. Now what we need to do is we need to find the sum of all the even numbers. First of all, we have to find the sum. So let's create a variable on the top. So I'm creating a variable over here, sum, whose value is 0 right now. Right now the sum is 0. Later it will increase throughout the loop. So what we need to do, we need to add all the even numbers. So how to write even numbers are that we write if I when divided by 2 gives the remainder 0. In that condition, what we need to do, we need to increase this sum with I. So whatever our I is, let's say our I is 2, then 4, then 6, this sum will be increased with I. So sum, in that case, sum plus is equals to I. Now you can also write sum is equals to sum plus I, or sum plus is equals to I. Both are the same thing. Sum plus is equals to I, or sum is equals to sum plus I. So to the previous sum, the new sum will be added. So till now, let's say if the total is 8. So the next whatever the next number is, it will be added to the new total and it will create a new total. So now we have a new total. Now new number will be added to it. Again, it will create a new total, and with the previous total, it will keep adding the new numbers. Now in the end, all I need to do is I need to print the sum. So print sum. Once I'll completely come out of the loop and just print the sum. And also we can add over here that the sum of all the even numbers up to 50 is, I'll put a comma and write the sum. Let's run and see what happens. So if you even check on the internet, the sum of all the even numbers up to 50 would be 650. So this is how it works. This is how you can solve our first program, where we just had to create a variable called as sum, whose value was 0, whose value was initially 0, but then in throughout the loop, every time when there is a even number occurring over there, this whatever the even number would be, it will get added to the sum. This is how you can find the sum of all the even numbers up to the range of 50. This was our first problem. Now moving ahead to our second problem. So guys, here we have our second problem. Our second problem says that write a program to write first 20 numbers and their squared numbers. So if you remember, in the for loop, we wrote a program where we find a table, multiplication table of different numbers. So here also we are going to do the almost same thing, but yes, the formula would change. Here we will be using again a for loop. So for I in range, so how many numbers we need to take? 20 numbers. So starting value would be 1 and ending value would be 21. Now what we need to write? We need to write the number in front of it. We will be writing its squared number. So first of all, we will print the I itself, I which is whichever the number is, comma, will give maybe a space or maybe write equal to in front of it, and then over here we will write, we'll put a comma and write the squared of this number. So how to write squared of this number? We will write I times I, or we can also write I exponent 2. Totally choice is up to you. The whole choice is up to you if you want to write I times I or you want to write I square. So for I square, all you need to do is write I, put the sign of exponent, that is the 2 asterisks followed by 2. And then if I print this, if I run this program, this is how it looks like. So 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 squares is 9, 4 squares is 16, and so on. We get it up to the number 20. Here our small problem is solved. I hope this was clear to you, and if it is clear, let's move ahead to our next problem, that is problem number 3. So let's have a look at our question number 3, which says write a program to find the sum of first 10 odd numbers using a while loop. So again we have to find the sum, but this time we have to use a while loop. We learned how to find a sum of all the even numbers up to 50 with the for loop in our first problem. This problem is with the while loop. So for while loop, first of all, let's create a variable called as sum whose value is equal to 0 and a starting number. So n, I'm creating another variable which will count my numbers up to 20. First 10 odd numbers comes in the range of 20 numbers. So that's why this n will go up to 20. So we will be giving a condition over here that while n is smaller than and equal to 20, the loop will execute only up to 20 numbers, and while n is smaller than and equal to 20, in that condition, we will also give a condition for the odd numbers, that odd numbers are if n when divided by 2 is not equal to 0, in that condition we will find its sum. We will be adding it to the sum. So how to add it to the sum? We will just write sum plus is equals to n, and how the n is increasing. N is not increasing inside the if statement. I repeat, n is increasing inside the while loop. N is not increasing inside the if statement. It's increasing inside the while loop. So we'll give a backspace before we write it for n. So n plus is equals to 1. Every time our n will increase by 1, and in the end we will print the sum of first 10 odd numbers is, I'll put a comma over here and write sum. Let's run and see what happens. So it says over here that the sum of first 10 odd numbers is 100. And we can confirm it as well. If you want to look over it on the web, you can confirm it as well. That how we did it, I'll just repeat it once again. First of all, we created a variable that is sum whose value we set to 0. We created another variable n whose value is 0, because this n is going to count all the numbers that we are going to add to the sum. So the first 10 odd numbers comes in a range of 1 to 20 numbers. That's why we have given a condition over there that while n is smaller than and equal to 20, we have to repeat this method. As soon as it reaches 20, we have to stop this method. So inside the while, we have given a condition that if this n is all the numbers up to 20, so when divided by 2, if it does not give the remainder 0, that's how it makes it an odd number. So if it does not give the remainder 0, in that condition, we will add it to the sum. And if it gives the remainder 0, nothing will happen. And then we have given an increment over here for n, that n will always increase by 1. So because n is all the numbers up to 20, 1 to 20, so n will always increase by 1. That increment we have given outside the if condition. Inside the if condition, we are only increasing the sum. Outside the if condition, that means inside the part of the loop, we are increasing our n, and at the end, we are printing our sum. So this was our problem number 3. Let's move ahead to our problem number 4. So our problem number 4 over here says that write a program to check if a number is divisible by 8 and 12 up to 100 numbers. So we can already see there is a range given to us that is of 100 numbers. So let's get started with the for loop. That you might have now become pro in understanding this for loop, that for I in range we have to take 1, 100, right? I'll put a column. Now what are the condition given to us is that we have to check if the numbers, all the numbers from 1 to 100, if they are divisible by 8 and 12. That means if they are the multiples of 8 and 12. It's not only 8 and not only 12, but it should be a multiple of both 8 and 12. So here we will be writing a condition that if I when divided by 8 gives us the remainder 0, and again this I when divided by 12 gives us the remainder 0, in that condition we have to print that number I is the multiple of both 8 and 12. So I'll put a comma in a string, I'll write is a multiple of both 8 and 12. Let's run and see what happens. So here it gives us 24 as a number. That 24 is a multiple of both 8 and 12, 48, 72 and 96. So up to the range of 100, these four are the numbers that comes in the table of both 8 and 12. Here our question is solved, and I hope you understand it clearly. Now we will be moving ahead to our next question, that is our question number 5. That is the last question of this part. Then we will be moving to the next part where we will be having more questions to solve. So here is our question number 5. Our question number 5 looks very interesting to me. That write a program to create a billing system at a supermarket. Okay. So let's get started. It looks like a small project as well, along with being a problem itself. So here in this question, I will be using a infinite loop, that is our while true, and I'll be combining it with a nested loop. So it will be a combination of while true and nested loops over here. So I hope you are as excited as I am to write this program. So let's understand how it can be written down. I'll be writing while true over here. Now let's first understand how a billing system works in a supermarket. When you go to a supermarket, when you have bought all the things, when you go to the cash counter, they ask you for your name. Second thing, they check what item you have bought and what is the price of that item and how much quantity it is, right? So like suppose there is some item that costs like 50 rupees and you have bought two of those items. Again it will check, okay, next item you have bought another item which costs 100 rupees and you have brought 3 of those items, right? So another loop this thing is going on, that we will be repeating something for the number of items a person is buying and the amount of it. Then when it's done with the first person, it will show the bill to the person and then repeat the whole procedure for the next person coming over there. So it's one loop is repeating the items that are there, that how many items a person has bought and what is the price and everything, and second loop is working on the number of persons that which are there in the queue. So let's see how it can be written down with the help of a program. The first thing that is asked when you are at a cash counter is your name. So first of all, let's ask for the name. That name is equals to input, enter customer's name. So this program basically, I'm not creating this program from the view of a customer. I'm creating this program from the view of the cashier, the person who is doing the billing. I'm creating this from the perspective of that person. After asking for the name, we can also use our total over here. We can put our total is equals to 0 right now, but this total will increase eventually when we will be moving ahead inside our next loop, which will count our price of the item and the amount of it. So I'm going to use a simple print statement over here, that enter price and quantity of item. Right. After this, I will be asking for the amount of the item that a person has bought. So I'm creating a variable called as amount. Amount is equals to, now amount can be in decimals as well, like something might cost like 99.99, like this is a trend nowadays that they write a price in 0.99, 0.49, right? So yes, the price could be in decimals as well. That's why I'm taking the input and float. So float, input, enter amount. Similarly, how much of these items we are buying. Let's say we have an amount of 100, but how many of this item we have bought. Let's say if it is 5, then it will become 500, right? So we will be asking for the quantity over here. That quantity is equal to int. Now quantity cannot be in decimal. The quantity will be in the packets only. So yes, we will be using quantity in the integers only. So quantity, input, enter quantity, right? Once a person has entered the quantity, we will be finding the total so far. not the whole total, but the total that is so far. Like suppose 5 packets of something and it costs 100 rupees. So 500 now. For the next item, let's say it would be different. So far the first total is 500. So I'll be writing that total plus is equals to amount times quantity, that whatever the amount is, we will be multiplying it with the quantity. If it is like 100, if the quantity is 5, then 5 times quantity, that is 100 times quantity, that is 500. Now what I will do, I will ask the cashier will check if there is more items. So I'll create a variable over here, that more items, and more items, for that I will be asking for the input, that do you want to add more items, question mark, and give the answer simply in yes/no, right? Okay, now if the answer is no, we learn this in our break statement, that with the while true, we can only, to break the while true loop, we can only use break statement. Here the conditional statement, we will be using our break statement, that if the answer to this more item, that if more items is equal to no, if a person says no to it, in that condition we will break the loop, right? In that condition we will break the loop. Now after breaking the loop, we need to print the bill for the person. So we will stay in our first loop. We are not moving out of our first loop. We are still going to stay in our first loop. Here we will be printing the bill. So I'll be making a bit decorative for the person. So print, I'll be putting some hyphens, and hyphens times 30. So 30 hyphens would be there. And I'm gonna print name, colon, would be our variable name, or you can also write name of customer to make it look more better. Name of customer would be the name that we have been provided on the top, right? Here I'll put a comma in between of this string and a variable. We can print the total amount, so we can write over here amount to be paid, and amount to be paid will be our total. If you want to add rupees also, you can add rupees also in the end. Totally choice is up to you. And I'll be printing maybe something like happy shopping, because it's a bill, it goes to the customer, so yes, it needs to look nice. And lastly, I'll be closing it with the 30 hyphens once again. So yes, I'm going to use a hyphen and multiply it with 30. So 30 times I'll get a hyphen. Now one bill is done, like one person is done. We have done this procedure for one person. What if a person wants to go to the next person? So for that, I'm going to create a variable over here, more people. More people is equals to input, do you want to go to next person, question mark, and its answer also we will be asking in yes/no. So here what we will be doing, we will be writing that if more people, I'm going to break the first loop also. So you can see over here we are using two loops. We are using a nested loops over here. So first loop, we have broken down the first loop when we did it for the items, that if how many items a person is buying. Now if we want to move to the next person also, we need to break the first loop as well. So if more people is equal to no, in that condition we will break the loop. And maybe just to understand that the loop is done over here, we are coming out of the loop, we can print anything over here, maybe just a thank you message for the cashier that he has done a good job and handled so many customers today. So let's run and see what happens when we run this program. Okay, it says they enter the name of the customer. So I'm gonna write Aryan. Enter prince and quantity of item. Okay, I'll be just changing it to price. I might have made a mistake. So yeah, enter amount. So let's say someone has bought something of 100 rupees and two of those things. Okay, so right now my total is 200. Do you want to add more items? Yes. Now Aryan has bought another thing costing 200 and that he has brought one. So now my total would be 400. So if I say no to this, it prints me a bill that name of the customer is Aryan, amount to be paid is 400. Happy shopping. Now, do you want to go to the next person? It asks, yes, I want to go to the next person. Again, it asks the same thing that, okay, enter the name of the customer. So the next customer we have is Lisa. Lisa will, let's say, buy something that costs 500 and one only. And no, she's not buying anything else, so her bill is of 500 and happy shopping. So you can see it keeps repeating, and as soon as you say no, that there is no more people in the queue, as you write no, it says thank you. So your loop is done over here. So this was one of the best examples we could give for our while true with the combination of nested loop. So similar to this programs, you can create many programs. You can show how a ticket system works in a stadium or in a theater. You can add more creativity to it. I would like you all to try some projects by yourselves, and they would be almost similar, where it will be using the while true and it will be using a nested loops, but yes, you can always add more creativity to it. Problem solving, we have done two problem solvings before already with the loops. Now today what we'll be doing, we'll be solving problems related to the nested loops. Yes, with the help of nested loop we can solve pattern problems. Today we'll be doing the same, that today we'll be solving some pattern problems over here with the help of nested loops. Before that, if you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn from our experts live, then you can call on the given number or you can fill the form that is provided in our description. Not just that, with our every batch, you will be getting 2 demo classes for free. Many kinds of problems can be solved with the help of nested loops. Let's have a look on how it can be done. So here I have a question. I have first pattern over here which looks like a triangle. First of all, to understand this pattern problem, what we need to do, we need to understand this box over here. Okay. So I'll be just explaining you one simple method, and after that you will be able to solve each and other problem related to the patterns that comes in our nested loops over here. Now understand this in this way, that there is a triangle over here, right, which has 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. That means with the number of rows, the columns are also increasing. To understand this problem, first let's understand this block over here. How many rows do we need? We need 5 rows. In every row there is 1 over here, right? 1, 1, 1, 1 and 1. 5 rows are there and 5 columns are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 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 Okay, so we have a block pattern over here. Now what do we need to do? We need to first create this pattern, and after creating this pattern, what we will be doing? We will be cutting it diagonally in this way so that we can obtain this triangle over here. So first of all, let's get this pattern over here. To get this pattern, what we know, we need 5 rows. That means one for loop for range 1, 6 and another for loop for range 1, 6. That will be our columns. Okay. So first for loop, we will be talking about the first for loop. First for loop would be for I in range. This will count our what? This will be counting our rows over here. So this one is for the rows. And another inside this, we will be creating another for loop, that for j in range 1, 6. Okay, let's imply this in our pie chart and see what output we will be getting. So here what I will be writing, I will be writing for I in range 1, 6 colon for j in range 1, 6. I'll put a colon again, and what we'll be doing, we'll be writing print. What we will be printing, we will not be printing the number of rows over here. We will be printing the number of columns over here. So columns are j, comma, end is equals to open close quotations. I'll just explain you. First of all, I'll put these quotations in the next time I won't put it. So let me just run and show it to you, that if I run this thing, what output I'll be getting. So if I run this, I'll be getting a box like this over here. If I would have not put end is equals to open close quotations, that means in that case what would have happened? It would have given me in this way that there would have been 5 numbers which are occurring 5 times over here. So instead, if we want them in one line, then we will be having to put end is equals to open close quotations. And if you want to put a gap in between them, you can put a gap. And if you don't want to put a gap, so if I remove the gap, this would look like this. That means it will be closely packed. But if I put a gap in between them, that means I put a space in between there, then they will be placed in such way. Right, now what we need to do over here is we need a triangle from this formation. Let's have a look what we can do for the triangle. So for the triangle, you can clearly see that every time what is happening, every time one column is increasing. That means row 1, then column also 1, right? If row number is 2, then columns are also 2. If row number is 3, then columns are also 3. This is happening, right? Previously what was happening, row 1, columns were 5 in this case. But in now in our case, in the triangle case, what is happening, row is 1, then column is also 1, row is 2, then the column is also 2. So what we will be doing in this case for the j, that means that the number of rows for the triangle will remain the same, that 5 rows are there, right? But for the j, that means for the columns, what will happen, I'll just put a comment and write row over here, and for here I'll be putting a comment and I'll be writing column, that every time a column will increase. Now how the column will increase, it will increase with the I. So what I'll be writing, I plus 1. So initially it will be 1, so I, and it will go up to 2, that means so it will be writing only 1 star. Then I, and it goes up to 3. So understand it in this way, that we have inside our I, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? For j, what we have written, for j we have written 1, I plus 1. That means when the iteration will happen, it will start from 1, that means one number will get printed, and I plus 1 is 2. So when there in, so inside a loop, second number never gets counted over here. So that means it will execute from 1, 2. This is how the loop will be executed. Then next time it will be executed as 1, 3. That means it will go 1 and 2. Then in case of 1, 4, it will go 1, 2 and 3. In case of 1, 5, it will go 1, 2, 3 and 4, and so on as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let's put this concept over there in our PyCharm and let's see what happens. If I go to PyCharm and in here I have written 1, I plus 1, and if I run this, what outcome we will be getting? We will be getting the exact same pattern that we had over there. This is here we have 1, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have seen nested loop pattern problems, then you might have also seen some star patterns over here. Similarly, one star pattern is also created. For creating that similar star over here, what you need to do, replace this j with a star over here and close the quotations, and if you run it, instead of the numbers over there, that means 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So j is holding what? J is holding our numbers that we need to get printed over there, right? So if we hold this over here, if we put stars instead of j, in that case we will be obtaining our star pattern over here. Similarly, let's move ahead to our next question. So now if the concept of that block is clear over here, I guess you will be able to solve all the kinds of pattern problems with the help of just small amount of logic that you need to put in there. So our next question over here is 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4 and 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So previously what was the triangle? We had 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We don't need to increase the numbers with the help of the columns. Now every time the number of row will be there, the number of column will be there. That means if the row number is 1, this is row number 1, then the number inside it is also 1. If the row is 2, then the number inside is also 2. If the number is 3, then the numbers inside it are also 3. If the number is 4, then the numbers inside it are also 4. And similarly for the 5. So what we need to do, we need to just put a simple logic over here. That over here, what we were doing, we were printing j, right? That j was carrying 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what is carrying rows over here? Our I is carrying the rows over here. So that means the numbers that are there in our rows. So instead of writing j, if I put I over here, we will get the exact same pattern which was there in our question. And you can see over here we have obtained, if the row is 1, then the number is 1. If the row is 2, then both the numbers are 2. If the row is 3, then all the numbers are 3 over here. How we can get it? With the help of I, because I is counting what? I is counting our numbers over here. That number of rows over here. So only simple one change we need to make, and you can now see that with just 3 changes we have created 3 different patterns. One with the star, one with increasing the number of columns, and one with the I, that means with the number of rows over here. Let's move ahead to our next question. Our next question over here says write a program to display this pattern. So previously our triangle looked like this. Now what we need our triangle to look like this. And every time what is happening, so previously our columns were increasing. This time what will happen, our columns are decreasing. That every time one column will be reduced. So starting value would be what? Starting value would be 6. It will go up to the I and minus 1. So it would be like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, because the row is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rows will remain the same because the row is 1. So 1 would not come over here. In next case, it would be 6, 5, 4 and 3 because it won't go up to 2. Then 6, 5, 4 in this case, 6, 5 in this case, and just 6 in this case. But we don't need to obtain these numbers. These are just to make you understand what we need to obtain. We need to obtain 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That is the number of rows, and a row over here. In this case, here this. In this case, we have this. In this case, we have this. And in this case, we have this number. So we need to work on the rows and columns both as well. So for the rows, in the first case over here, what will happen? The rows will remain the same. So for the rows, if we are talking about just rows, what will happen? The number of rows will remain the same. That means we will not do any changes with the I. That means over here, if I talk about the same program, the I will remain the same. That means the number of rows are same, right? But for the J, what is happening? The J is starting from 6. That means in the first line, it's starting from 6. It's going up to I. And then the decrement is of -1, that every time one column is getting reduced over here. And we don't have to print J, we have to print I. So let's run and see. So you can now see the pattern that we wanted over here. We have received it just by doing a simple changes over here with our columns. What changes we have made? We have written for J in range. Starting value is 6. That means now it has been reversed. It's going up to I. That means firstly it will go from 6 to 1, then 6 to 2, then 6 to 3, 6 to 4, and from 6 to 5, and lastly there will be just 6, and every time it will be reduced by -1 over here. And what we need to print? If we print J over here, we will get the pattern that I am saying, that is 6. That is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5, 4, 3, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, and lastly 5. When we are obtaining this, we are obtaining this when we print J. But we don't have to print J over here, we have to print I. So we'll be getting this pattern over here. And for the same, if you want a star pattern, then you just need to put a star over here. And if you run it, you will be getting this star pattern as well in the similar triangle pattern. So this is what this program is about. Now let's move ahead to our next pattern problem. So now what we have done, we have created a triangle like this. Also, we have created a triangle like this. But now this triangle is like this. Right, that means in the previous two triangle, it was starting from the corner of the line, right? But now what is happening, that it is starting from the other side. Now what we need to do, we need to focus in this box again, that okay, this is our triangle. But what are these things? These are the spaces. Let me put some @ symbols over here. So there will be some @ symbols over here, which are representing the number of spaces in front of it. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 @ that means 1 star will be there. 2 star in the second row, 3 stars in the third row, 4 stars in the fourth row, and 5 stars in the fifth row. Again, the number of rows are same. That means there are 5 rows. So we will not do any changes with the I. But with the J, we will be making changes. What 2 changes we will be making? We will be making changes with the spaces and changes with the stars. That means 2 more loops will be working over here. One outer loop for the I for counting the rows, and 2 rows for counting the columns will be working over here. That means one will count the number of spaces, the other one will print the stars over here. Okay. So we need to work on 2 rows over here. First of all, talking about the spaces over here, what I will be putting in the first one, we will be going in this way, that we have starting value 5. That we need 5 spaces, then and goes up to I, and every time it will be reduced by 1. Right, this will be our spaces. In this case, we will be printing what? We will be printing spaces in this case, okay. And in the second case would be about our stars. So starting value would be what? It will be starting from the I only. That means our rows only. That how many number of rows are there. So if I say 0 to 6, then it will do the same thing. Or instead of this, I can put I also over here. So let's work on this pattern over here. So for this pattern, what I'll be doing, I'll be writing for I in range. That means our range is 1, 6. I'll put a colon. For J in range, our next range is what? It is for counting the spaces. I'll be putting 5, comma, goes up to I and -1. I'll put a colon over here and print what? I'll be printing the spaces in between, and comma, end is equals to open close quotations. Now again another for loop, that for K in range, I'll be writing just I over here. That means I just want the number of rows over here. How many number of rows are there? So I'll be putting this, and I'll print what? I'll be printing this star over here. So star pattern would come, and I'll be writing end is equals to open close quotations, and lastly print statement. So if I run this program over here, let's see what output we will get. You can now see that we have obtained the output that we wanted there previously. That means starting we have 5 4 3 2 4 spaces, 5 4 3 3 spaces, 5 4 2 spaces, and 5. That means only one space is over here, right? And the next loop is making the star pattern over here for us by just writing what for k in range I print star and end is equals to open close quotations. So this is how we have obtained our pattern. Now guys, if you want to see a small magic, that what I'll do in this print open close space is if I remove this space over here, if I just don't print this space and if I just run it like this, you will now see that we have obtained a pyramid like structure. So just by one program and making a simple one change, you can obtain two kinds of patterns over here. Over here what is happening that now the spaces are over here in this side and it has been reduced. Now let's move ahead to our next pattern problem. So our next pattern problem over here says the same kind of triangle that we have been making, but this time what is happening, the numbers are changing over here. Numbers are previously we were writing 1 1 2 1 2 and 3, 1 2 3 and 4 in this way, but now what we want that if the row is 1 it will be 1, if the row is 2 it will start from 2 and 1, if the row is 3, it will start from 3, 2 and 1. If the row is 4, it will start from 4, 3, 2 and 1. So this is how it is decreasing. So simple method over here as well, that what we will be doing, that from the I we will be going up to 0 and the decrement will be of -1 over here. So now if I run this program and print j over here and then if I run it, so you will now see that what pattern we have obtained. We have obtained 1 2 1 3 2 1 4 3 2 1 and 5 4 3 2 1. What we need to do, just the number of rows that we are using, that would be the starting value. It will go up to the 0 and the decrement will be of -1. So by putting one simple logic in the column, we have obtained this another pattern over here. Moving ahead to our next pattern. Okay, our next pattern over here looks like this. First of all, to obtain this pattern, we need to make a triangle like this, which we already know how to make it. And then what we need to do, we need to make another triangle that goes like this, right? But with not the similar number of rows. This time what will happen, this triangle is in this pattern, that here it is coming and the next triangle is coming in this way, right? That means they have one common row in between, right? So what we'll be doing, we will be first focusing on this triangle. So let's first create this triangle. So for that triangle, what do we need over here? We have created that kind of pattern before also in our first pattern problem. That was our 1 comma I plus 1, right? Now if I run it, I'll get my first triangle over here. And if I print instead of j, I'll put a star over here. So my first triangle would be obtained. That first part of the triangle is done. Now what I need to do, I need to go reverse. That means another loop will be working over here. So for I in range, again talking about the number of rows over here. So how many rows will be there? The number of rows will be reduced by 1 over here. So number of rows will be 1 to 5. Okay. And inside this we'll be writing for k in range. Now how it is going, 5 4 3 2 1. So 5 would be the starting value. Every time I will be reduced and by -1 it will be going. That means every time the column will be reduced, right? That firstly it will be 5. That means 5 4 3 2. Then 5 4 3, 5 4 and lastly 5. This is how it will be going. And if we'll be printing what, again the stars over here, I'll put a comma and write end is equals to open close quotations and print statement. So if I run it, you can now see that we are getting the pattern. If here over here also I would have used similar number of rows, like if I would have written 6 over here, here also I would have written 6, it would have given me a pattern like this, that it would have created another triangle. That means one triangle, this one, another triangle, this one. But we want one row in common. So what we need to do over here, we need to reduce one row. That's why we'll be writing 5 over here. And just like how we have done the decrementation previously before, just similarly we will be doing the decrementation over here, and we'll be decreasing the number of columns over here. So this is how our pattern will be obtained. Moving ahead to our last pattern over here. So our last pattern over here is a multiplication kind of a table that goes 1 to 8 numbers, and with the number of rows, the columns are over there. That means if the row is 1, then the multiplication is up to 2 and 4. That means if the row is 1, then only one element is there. If the row is 2, then the multiples of 2 are there up to 2 numbers only. If the row is 3, then the multiples of 3 are there up to row 3 only. So for understanding this also, what we will be doing, first we will be obtaining a whole multiplication table from 1 to 8 and on both the sides. That means again what we will be doing, again we will be creating that block over here, and after that we will be cutting this triangle over here. Okay, so first of all let's obtain that block over here. Now to obtain this block, what I'll be doing, I'll be writing for I in range 1 comma 10, or we can say 1 comma 11. I'll put a colon and I'll write for j in range 1 comma 11. I'll put another column. That means both the sides it will be going up to 10 over here. That means 10 rows and 10 columns. So I'll be reprinting what? I'll be printing the, you can see over here the multiplication of rows is happening with the columns. So I multiply by j, we will be writing comma, end is equals to open close quotations, and lastly we will just leave one print statement over there. So if I run it, I'll get a box over here of all the numbers 1 to 10, 1 and 2 to up to 20, 3 to up to 30, 4 to up to 40. Now what I need to obtain? I need to obtain a triangle over here. To obtain the triangle, we know that there is one simple trick, that every time to the column, one row will be added. So I plus 1, and now let's run and see what output we will get. So now here we can see that the kind of pattern that we wanted initially, we have obtained that pattern. Our pattern was up to 8 numbers. Here if you want up to 8 numbers, then all you need to do is write 8 over here, or write 9 over here basically. And if you run it, you'll get it up to 9 numbers. That means up to 8 numbers over here. And if you want it up to 10 numbers, then you just have to write 11 over there, and simply you'll get a multiplication table pattern problem over here. Right? That the loops topic is thoroughly clear to you.
Before that, if you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn from our experts live, then you can call on the given number or you can fill the form that is provided in our description. Not just that, with our every batch, you will be getting 2 demo classes for free.
So let's quickly start with the questions. We have our 4 questions over here. First question says that write a program to get Fibonacci series up to 10 numbers. Let's have a look on how it can be solved. So guys, first of all, what is Fibonacci series? Fibonacci series is a special series in which the first 2 numbers are 0 and 1. The third number would be the addition of previous 2 numbers, that is 0 and 1. Then the next number would be the addition of previous 2 number, and again the next number would be the addition of previous 2 number. So I'll give you an example over here. So as I said, the first value should be 0, second value should be 1. Now the third value will be the addition of these two. So it will be our 1. Now 1 plus 1 will be 2 plus 1 will be 3. 2 plus 3 will be 5. 3 plus 5 will be 8, and it keeps going so on. This is called as Fibonacci series, where the next number is the addition of previous 2 numbers, then again the next number is the addition of previous 2 numbers. Now once it is clear what is Fibonacci series, let's understand how we can write a program to obtain a Fibonacci series up to 10 numbers. So guys, here we are talking about Fibonacci series up to 10 numbers. So here we will be considering a case where number is equals to 10. Also, if you want, you can take a user input as a number, and if the user wants to take more or less number in a Fibonacci series, all you need to do is you can take a user input as a number. Here we already know that we have given a case where we need to obtain a Fibonacci series up to 10 numbers. Now next thing that I need to do is, we know that the first 2 numbers of a Fibonacci series are 0 and 1. So I'm creating a variable called as number 1, whose value I'm inserting as 0. And I'm creating another value called as number 2, whose value I'm inserting as 1. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write over here print Fibonacci series up to 10 numbers is, in the next line what we will be doing, we will be printing. As we know that the first 2 values are number 1 and number 2, so I'll be writing it number 1, comma, number 2, comma. Now what I want next value to come in this same line, so I'll be writing end is equals to open close the quotations. Now here our for loop will start. We will be using the for loop for obtaining the rest of the Fibonacci series. How we will be using for loop, we will be simply writing over here for I in range The starting value is 1, comma, the ending value is our number plus 1. So because we are ending it at number 10, we know that in the for loop, the ending number should be number plus 1. So directly, if you want, you can write 11 over here, or you can also write number plus 1. Right. After this, what we need to do, we know that the first number becomes the second number, and the second number now becomes the addition of previous two number. So what we will be doing, I'm creating another variable over here called as number 3. So what we will be doing here, I'm going to create a variable called as number 3, which will be equal to addition of number 1 plus number 2. Now our number 1, in the Fibonacci series, what will happen? Our number 1 will be replaced by number 2. So I'll be writing number 1 is equals to number 2, and number 2 will be replaced with the addition of previous to number. That is, number 2 is equals to number 3. So what I'm going to do next is print number 3, comma, end is equals to open quotations, close quotations, give a space in between. And if I run the program, you will see we have obtained a Fibonacci series up to 10 numbers over here, where 0 and 1 are the first two number. Next number is the addition of the previous two number. Again, the next number is the addition of previous two numbers. So this is how we can obtain a Fibonacci series up to as much numbers as we want. If you would have written over here int input, enter a number here, and would have run this program and would have entered 20, so you would have received a Fibonacci series up to 20 numbers. So I hope, guys, this question is clear. Now let's quickly hop on to our next question. So our next question over here, guys, says write a program to find the palindrome of an integer. Now, guys, what is palindrome? Let's take an example that I have a number 23. So the reverse of 23 is not equal to the number itself. That means it is not a palindrome. Palindrome numbers are those numbers whose reverse is equal to the number. For example, if you have written 1, 2, 1, the reverse of 1, 2, 1 will still be 1, 2, and 1. That means 1, 2, 1 is a palindrome number over here. Right? So to get a palindrome, to write a program to get to check if a number is palindrome or not, what we need to do, first of all, we will be asking for a number from the user. That number is equals to int input, enter a number here. Okay, now what we need to do, I will be storing this number inside a temporary variable. So I'm creating a variable a is equals to num. That inside a I am using this number. Why I am doing this, I'll be explaining it to you. And then also again I'm creating another variable that we have reverse. Reverse is equals to 0. Now reverse, we will be obtaining the reverse of this number. Whatever number the user has given us, we will be obtaining the reverse of this number, and then we will be comparing both the values to check if the values are equal, it is a palindrome. If it is not equal, it is not a palindrome. Now to use a logic over here, I'll explain how the logic works over here. So I'm considering a case that my number right now is equals to, let's say, 33. Okay, and we have stored it inside a temporary variable, that is a is equals to 33. Okay, we know our reverse value right now is 0. To obtain a reverse of this number, we will be using a simple logic that while I will be using a condition with a loop that while this number 33 is greater than 0, keep repeating. So we will be repeating this loop while the number is greater than 0. As soon as it is smaller than 0, this loop will stop executing. Okay. I'm creating reverse. I'm using this variable reverse. Reverse is equals to reverse multiply by 10. Right now reverse is 0, which will be multiplied by 10, plus our number when divided by 10, what remainders it gives will be added to this reverse. So let's say we have reverse right now as 0. 0 when multiplied by 10 gives us a 0, plus our number when divided by 10. So number is 33. 33 when divided by 10 gives us the remainder 3. So plus 3 right now, what is the value of this reverse? Reverse is equals to 3. Okay. Second thing, what I'm going to do with the number, as we have obtained one number over here inside our reverse variable, inside the reverse variable, as we have obtained 3 as of now, I will be eliminating 1, 3 over from here. To eliminate that, I will be writing number is equals to number floor division 10. If I'll floor divide the number by 10, I will be able to eliminate the last value. So if I write 33 when divided by 10 gives me the quotient 3. So 1 3 will be removed from here. That means it will be eliminated from here. Okay. It gives me the quotient 3. That means from this 1 3 has been eliminated. Okay. So now inside our number 1 3 has been eliminated and it is only left with 3. Okay. Next thing, now still our number is 3 which is greater than 0. So what we need to do, we need to again repeat the same method, that reverse is equals to, so I will be writing reverse is equals to, right now our reverse is 3, 3 multiply by what? 3 multiply by 10 plus right now our number is 3. On the top we have 3 because 1 3 has been eliminated. 3 when divided by 10, what remainder does it gives? Okay. So here we have 10 multiplied by 3 is 30 plus 3 when divided by 10 over here, guys. So if I write 3 divided by 10, it will give me the 3 itself over there. So I'll be writing 3. So 30 plus 3 makes our 33 and we have obtained our reverse as 33. And for the number, if we do, now number is 3. 3 floor division 10 will give 0. So here our loop will stop and we have also received our reverse number, that is 33. Now what we need to do, we need to compare this 33 with A, that if this reverse is equal to A, then the number is palindrome, else it is not palindrome. Now what we will be doing, if you have understood this, we will be using this logic inside our program. Okay. So I'll be writing over here while number is greater than 0. In that condition, what we will be writing, reverse is equals to reverse multiply by 10 plus number when divided by 10, what remainder does it gives? At the same time, the decrement of number will be there. One number will be eliminated from the number itself. So number is equals to number floor division 10. By the use of this method, we will be able to eliminate the last digit from the number. Okay. After this, we will be checking for the condition that if our reverse is equal to A, in that condition, we will be printing that it is palindrome, else we will be printing it is not palindrome. So let me run and show it to you. If I run it and write 10 over here, it tells me it is not palindrome. At the same time, if I run the code and write 11 over here, it tells me it is palindrome, that the reverse of 11 is also 11. If you want to try another number, let's say with 3 digit 121, and if we run it, we get it is palindrome. So guys, this is how our program is working. I hope the concept of finding a reverse of a number is clear to you. This is the main part over here in this program.
So guys, next question that we have over here is to write a program to create an area calculator. Now to create an area calculator, all we need to do is follow some simple steps. It is pretty much similar to the program that we have created before for calculator, for a simple calculator. In the simple calculator, we created a program with conditional statements. Here also we will be using conditional statements, but I will also be teaching you to use while true along with it. So we will start with the basic simple steps. I'll be using nested loops, that is while, and I'll be using combination of nested loops. That means I'll be using while true inside another while true. So I'm writing over here while true, which is our infinite loop. I'll be printing the options that a person has, like press 1 for square, press 2 for rectangle, press 3 for circle, and press 4 for triangle. Right? After this, I will be asking for the choice from the user, that what is the choice of user. For choice, I will be taking the input in integers. So I'll be writing over here, enter a number between 1 to 4. Right? After taking an input from the user, we will be passing the conditional statements, that what if the choice is equal to 1, what if the choice is 2, 3 and 4 and so on. Right? So first of all, I'll be going with the choice number 1, that if the choice of the user is 1, in that condition, what we are going to do. So if the choice matches to 1, in that condition, I'm creating another while true. Why I'm creating another while true? Because let's say a person has calculated the area of square. Now again, if they want to calculate more area of the square, they don't have to see the list all over again and repeat the same method. We can ask them that do you want to repeat again, and they can say yes to it and they can repeat it. So what I'm going to do after writing while true over here, I'll be taking the input from the user. So as we have it for square we need a side. Side is equals to float. I'm taking the input from in float. Why I'm taking it in float? Because yes, the length of one side of a square can also be in decimals. So enter the side of square, or we can write enter the side length of square. And after taking it, I'll be writing the formula over here. So the formula for calculating the area of square would be side square. So I'll be writing side exponent 2, and I'll print it that the area of square is, I'll put a comma over here and write area. Okay. Now after this comes the important method where I will be taking the input from the user for the choice that so choice we have already created before, so I'll be using it as choice 1. Choice 1 is equals to input that do you want to repeat this process again, question mark, and if they say yes to it, it will repeat it again, else, and if they say yes to it, it will repeat it again. So if choice is equals to no, in that condition we will be breaking the loop, right? This was for our while true first part. Now what we have broken the first while true loop over here. Now we will be going for the choice number 2 that we have over here, that elif choice is equals to 2. So choice 2 will be for rectangle. Again I'm creating while true over here and asking for the length of the rectangle. So length is equals to float input, enter the length of rectangle, and similarly I will be asking for the width of it, that width is equals to float input, enter the width of the rectangle, right? After doing this, we will be taking the area over here, that area is equals to length times width, and we will be printing it again. So the area of rectangle is, I'll put a comma over here, area. After this, again I'll be asking for choice 1, that choice 1 is equals to input. Do you want to repeat again? Question mark. And if choice 1 is equals to no, in that condition we will break the loop. Similarly, we'll go for elif choice is equals to 3 for our circle. So elif choice is 3, in that condition while true, we'll be asking for the radius of the circle, or do we have third as it is? Yeah, we have a circle only. So we'll be asking for the radius of the circle over here. So radius is equals to float input, enter the radius of the circle, and we will be writing the area of the circle. So area of the circle is pi radius square. For pi, I'll be writing 3.14 the value times radius square. So radius would be our radius and its square. I'm also mentioning it inside the brackets. Okay. After this, we will be printing it just like how we have done before, that the area of circle is, and I'll put a comma over here and write area. I'll be asking for the user's input, that do you want to repeat again. So I'll be copying this part and pasting it over here, that do you want to repeat again, and if choice is equals to no, we will break the loop. Similarly, elif choice is equals to 4, in that condition again while true, and as it is for the triangle, so we'll be taking for base and height, that base is equals to float input, enter base here. Similarly, we will be asking for height, height is equals to float input, enter height here. Right. After this, the formula comes over here, that area is equal to, the area of a triangle would be half into base times height. Half can be also written as 0.5, 0.5 times base times height. And we'll be printing it
that print the area of triangle is, I'll put a comma over here and write area. Lastly, I'll be again asking for the choice that do they want to repeat it again. If they don't want to repeat it again, then we will break the loop. Now we will be writing a statement for else over here, that else. So if anyone has written any number other than 1, 2, 3 and 4, so else will execute if someone has written any other number other than 1, 2, 3, 4. So else I'll just simply print invalid input. Please try again. And lastly, I'll be asking for repeating, and lastly, I'll be breaking the first while true loop that we have started. For that, I'll be creating a variable over here, repeat. Repeat is equals to input, and it asks, do you want to find the area of another shape? And if you say yes to it, it will show you the whole list again. And if you say no to this repeat, in that condition it will break our loop, and we can in the end over here write down print thank you for using area calculator. Let's run and see, guys. This is our small program that we have created on area calculator. So it tells me press 1 for square, press 2 for rectangle, 3 for circle, 4 for triangle. So I'll be giving my choice over here as 1. Enter the side length of the square. Let's say I'm writing 12 over here. Give me 144. Do you want to repeat again? I'll say no. Do you want to find the area of another shape? Let's say yes to it. And I want to find it for triangle, let's say. So I'll be writing 4 over here. Enter the base. So base is, let's say, 5. And the height is, let's say, 3. So the area of the triangle would be 7.5. And if you'll check it, it is correct as well. Do you want to repeat it again? No, I don't want to find the area of another shape also. So it says thank you for using the area calculator. So guys, this was our mini program to create an area calculator. I hope you have no doubt and no questions over here. In this program, we use the while true along with the combination of nested loops. So here at this question, I'm ending our problem solving part 2.